The episode opens with Officer Luke listening to a voicemail from his son Adam, complaining about a stomach ache and begging for the day off school. Luke plays the recording for his partner Misha, admitting that Tracy will say no, but he's the soft touch. They prepare for a raid alongside other officers, communicating with their partners via radio. Using a battering ram, they force entry into a house where Eddie and Amanda Miller live with their daughter Lisa and their 13-year-old son Jamie. Luke arrests Jamie on suspicion of murder, reading him his rights. Jamie, in shock, insists he hasn't done anything. Amanda, distraught, questions why the police needed guns for a child, while Eddie argues there's no way his son is guilty. He reassures Jamie and tells him not to say anything. Jamie is taken to the station in a police van, crying as Luke orders him to calm down. Jamie keeps insisting on his innocence, but Luke tells him they'll talk about everything at the station. He advises Jamie to ask for a solicitor because it is in his best interest. Upon arrival, Jamie requests a solicitor and wants his dad as his appropriate adult. The officer approves Jamie's detention for questioning, allowing them to preserve evidence. Jamie can be held for up to 24 hours. As Jamie's family arrives, he sees them behind a locked door and wants to go to them, but an officer tells him they need to process him first. He is placed in a holding cell, offered breakfast, but is too scared to eat. Luke questions Eddie about the solicitor, informing him that Jamie has chosen him as his appropriate adult, meaning Eddie must be present for all interviews, medical exams, and any samples taken. Luke warns Eddie that if Jamie has admitted anything to him, he cannot serve as his appropriate adult, as it could jeopardize the case. Eddie insists Jamie has done nothing wrong. Amanda and Eddie tell their daughter Lisa to go home, but she refuses, asking what will happen. Amanda reassures her that it's all a mistake. Luke and Misha discuss Eddie. Luke shares a past case of a boy they took months to realize was being abused by his father. Misha says she doesn't see anything like that here. A booking officer tells Luke that since Jamie is underage, the council needs to determine where to place him after the charges. Luke says Jamie is accused of stabbing someone with a kitchen knife, so they'll figure that out later. He then calls Tracy to check if Adam is going to school and asks her to keep texting him updates. A nurse assesses Jamie in Eddie's presence, noting that he is a bright boy and doesn't appear particularly vulnerable. Jamie breaks down, pleading with Eddie to believe him. Eddie reassures him that he does. Paul, Jamie's solicitor, arrives and speaks with Amanda and Eddie. They complain about how the police tore their house apart, but Paul explains that's standard in a case involving a violent death. He admits there is not much he can say to make the situation better, but promises to do his best for Jamie. Paul gets briefed by Luke, who confirms that the murder took place at 10:30 p.m. The victim, Katie Leonard, was stabbed multiple times. They're still trying to notify her family, so the media doesn't know yet. Jamie has scratches on his arms, and blood was found at the scene. Eddie is required to be present while Jamie undergoes medical procedures. Jamie's photos, mouth swab, and fingerprints are taken. When asked for his phone passcode, Paul advises Jamie not to provide it. Jamie is strip-searched, which Eddie is visibly uncomfortable with, but the officers insist it's necessary to check for concealed evidence and injuries. Paul reassures Eddie that it's beneficial for Jamie's defense. Paul speaks privately with Jamie and Eddie, asking Jamie about school and his history, concluding that he is an intelligent kid. He advises Jamie to answer no comment when asked about the events of the night, but assures him that both he and Eddie will be there to support him. Jamie insists he hasn't done anything wrong. Outside, Eddie, overwhelmed, admits to Paul that he has no idea what he's doing. Paul advises him not to answer for Jamie and to just be himself. Eddie, teary-eyed, worries about getting it wrong. Paul warns that the police likely have compelling evidence, given how they handled the arrests. Before the interview, Eddie asks Jamie to look him in the eyes and swear he's telling the truth. Jamie promises he didn't do it. During questioning, Luke asks Jamie about his night, but he responds with no comment. Luke praises his school record, but points out behavioral issues in the past year. Jamie refuses to discuss personal problems or his friends. Luke shifts the topic to Jamie's views on women, referencing aggressive comments he made under Instagram photos of models. Jamie claims he's attracted to women, but denies having a girlfriend. Luke asks if he'd want a girlfriend who looks like the models he follows, and Jamie says no because they're too old. Luke then brings up Katie Leonard, confirming that she and Jamie were in some of the same classes. Misha asks if they got along. Jamie isn't sure, but Misha notes that Katie occasionally commented on his Instagram posts. When asked how others might describe their relationship, Jamie suddenly asks, "Is it her who's dead then?" Luke, surprised, asks why Jamie would phrase it that way. He confirms that Katie was murdered and implies Jamie already knew. When pressed about their relationship, Jamie says they weren't really friends. Misha asks if he was attracted to Katie or if there was anything romantic or sexual between them. Jamie denies both. Misha tells Jamie that Katie left her house at 8:30 p.m. and her body was found in a car park at 10:30 p.m. Luke asks where Jamie was during that time. Jamie says no comment. Eddie, when asked, says he was on call and he wasn't home to confirm Jamie's whereabouts. Luke and Misha present CCTV footage. Jamie was seen walking alone past the library at 9:17 p.m. Minutes later, Katie appeared. Jamie was caught on camera following her. Eddie demands Jamie explain why, but Jamie refuses to answer. The officers play footage from the car park. Jamie and Katie are seen arguing. She shoves him, he pushes back, then repeatedly hits her. Jamie cries as Eddie watches in horror. Luke asks Jamie how he got home and noticed, and why his clothes are missing. Jamie remains silent. The interview is terminated. As Jamie tries to speak, Eddie turns away, devastated. Then breaking down, he asks, "What have you done?" Jamie sobs, insisting, "It wasn't me." Eddie, in tears, finally hugs him.